Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Call the Cops. My name is Officer Jamie Keneally. As always, or maybe more so than as always, a really big show in store. My good friend, and I don't use that term loosely, really good friend, love him like a brother kind of friend. Okay, he's nodding in agreement. Frank Sullivan is on tonight's show. And if the name Frank Sullivan doesn't sound familiar, well, it probably should, because Frank has done a number of really good things in the West Roxbury community. He's the president of the Pinch Foundation, Pinch standing for People in Neighborhoods Can Help. But just as importantly, this past January, you may have seen some of the news coverage on the local news channels. Frank, on his way home, riding the train, Orange Line, on the Orange Line, sitting there reading a book, which we'll talk about in a second, sees a kid get jumped, sees a kid get punched in the head a couple times, then sees the suspect in this case grab an iPod and take off. Train full of people, one person jumps up from his seat, decides to pursue the suspect, pursues him, catches him, tackles him, as I understand it, on an escalator. That person who I'm speaking about is Frank Sullivan. Now, some said his actions that day were heroic. Frank would say simply saw something wrong and he attempted to right it. You decide, but we do have coverage from Channel 5. So, Dave, if you get, whenever you're ready, roll that coverage that appeared on Channel 5. I think it was a night or day, a couple days after Frank's heroic actions.
To help maintain the city's fleet of fire trucks.
Turning words into action, a Boston Fire Department dispatcher who was reading the book Practice Random Acts of Kindness didn't hesitate yesterday when he spotted a dangerous situation during a subway ride. News 5's Amalia Beretta has his story. It's new at 6 tonight.
And it happened here at the New England Medical Center station late yesterday morning. The things that Frank Sullivan was most worried about was the possibility that the assailant had a weapon.
I said to my wife, if this was happening to me, would you want another passenger to help me?
53-year-old Frank Sullivan is one soft, tough guy, clearly overwhelmed by the praise being showered upon him.
I'm not a hero. The hero in our department died the other day.
The fire department dispatcher is deeply wounded over the death of his old friend, killed when Ladder 26 crashed into a building January 9th. Yet yesterday, as Sullivan rode the Orange Line into New England Medical Center T station, he saw a robber beating a young man, fighting to take the passenger's iPod.
The victim wouldn't give up, and they said, give it up, and then they punched him twice, 2 times, square right in the face. His nose split open, his lips split open.
Sullivan says he had been reading Rabbi Harold Kushner's book, Practice Random Acts of Kindness, and he decided to get involved.
He hit me twice on the platform. We were face to face, like this.
At one point, the police report reads like a movie script. As Sullivan is locked in battle with the alleged assailant, they fall on this escalator, and it carries them up to the next level. Sullivan was able to hold him there until T-Police came and arrested 22-year-old Christopher Blackwell of Charlestown, who was arraigned in Boston Municipal Court today. At the end of the news conference, Sullivan revealed some stunning information.
I got shot twice in the head, once in the arm.
That happened 29 years ago, and it is the reason he is legally blind. His thoughts about Blackwell?
I say my daily prayers, and I prayed for him last night.
About Blackwell, Sullivan said, who knows what kind of life he's going through. As for the victim, we are told he was taken to the hospital and is going to be okay. Reporting live from Boston, Amalia Beretta, News Center 5.
You're watching. Beretta, we thank you for the report. I think it's probably high time to introduce tonight's guest.
Hi, Jamie.
Francis Sullivan.
Francis X.
Buddy, you know I love having you on. This is your second time on?
Thank you.
I think it's your second time.
Who's counting?
Nobody's counting. I am counting because I'm like, I can't wait to get you on. But just your reaction to the story. January 21st, 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. The obvious question, what were you thinking? Why not just sit there?
I didn't have time to consider why not just sit there. I just acted how I was raised to act. I wasn't raised to be confrontational or to put myself in danger, but I saw someone in need, and it's purely reaching out to help a person in need. You help your neighbor when your neighbor's in trouble. help a stranger when a stranger's in trouble. It was a person in need, plain and simple. I didn't have time to act, as I explained to my wife when I got home that night, and I listened to, "You're 55 years old, you can't believe you're wrestling with 22-year-old kids." And I said, if it happened to me, you would want someone to help me, and that's all it is helping someone.
Your beautiful wife, Lisa.
My beautiful wife.
We can't just call her Lisa. It's your beautiful wife, Lisa.
Yes.
What did Lisa say? She must be thinking, come on. I mean,
She
granted, you're built like an Adonis, but not really an Adonis, but kind of sort of like an Adonis.
Did you say Madonna?
Yeah, Madonna's.
Yeah, I'm built like Madonna.
But what was she like, honey, come on?
Her maternal instincts are what was speaking for her. Right. And we came to a wonderful understanding. I at first took the posture, honey, why don't you understand what I did?
Yeah.
And she held her ground saying, why don't you understand what you did, which is you're out there winning bread for the family.
Yep.
And now you could have been killed.
Right.
And given, as you saw in that piece, what I had gone through 29 years previous. But ultimately, even after sending her flowers, and
I tried to talk to her for you, just so you know. I tried to.
And I appreciated that.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, but go ahead. Flowers.
Why you had to talk to her for a weekend is anyone's guess to this point, but...
We'll edit that later, but go ahead.
So, ultimately, I came to the understanding that this is why my wife is so concerned.
Right.
However, as I was asked during that press conference, would you do this again? And unequivocally, I say yes. Okay. Not because I'm stupid, not because I'm a hero by any stretch. I'm not. Only because my instincts are, if someone's in need, I'm going to do what I can to help.
See somebody in need of help, you react and do your best to try to help that person. What was the victim's reaction? We don't need to know the victim's name, but did he thank you? What was his response?
Yes, he was stunned, and it's kind of interesting. He was standing on the top of the at the top of the platform when the escalator came.
We should probably discuss that. So the suspect gets up, takes off. You follow him. You chase him.
Well, I had my only option. Yes. Well, I wanted to get the iPod back, and the victim was bleeding. And I got in front of him and the escalator, which is his escape route.
Right.
And I just said, give the iPod back. You're not going anywhere. And that's when he hit me twice on the platform, and he reached into his pants, and that's when I really thought, I'm done.
Yep.
Again, given what happened to me.
Right.
And there was nothing in between us that was going to prevent, that I could jump behind.
Right, right.
So I could only tackle him.
And you tackle him on the
escalators? Get his hands away.
As he's going?
Well, when I tackled him, we landed on the foot of the escalator.
Right.
And the escalator took us up, and all I wanted to do was get his hands away from his pants, so he couldn't reach for a gun, and that's what I did. I got his hands, and just now I'm on top of him, and I just held both of his hands.
And you're saying, like, do you know who I am? You know who you're messing with? I'm Frank Sullivan.
People are coming into the station and looking down.
Well, I got to ask you about that. Here you are, the one guy who hops off his seat to help this kid out. Did other people jump in to help you, or were there?
No, well, there wasn't. Number one, I don't judge anyone else's actions.
Right.
I don't
I agree with you.
Anyone who didn't get involved, that's their business. And it's a dangerous world out there, and that's fine. No one could really jump in because there's no room on the escalator for anyone else.
Yep.
Now we're at the top of the escalator. One man did stand there, and I'm hoping he was standing there in case I wasn't able to control the situation.
In case you lost the upper hand.
If he got the upper hand, this man would have jumped in. But one man did walk into the station and said, why don't you let him up?
Yeah, you yelled at him?
And I said, yeah, I did. And, like that, because the perpetrator started telling people coming in the station that I was robbing him.
Yeah.
And that I was calm until that point. I was disappointed. But the victim ultimately handed me the book that I was reading because I had thrown it down. And the officers, when they arrived, they kind of grabbed the book and they said, what's this?
They're like, no way.
And they said, you were reading this book?
Buddy. Right, come on.
Come on, how much better you want this story to sound?
And the book, of course, being
Practice Random Acts of Kindness. And why do I read that book? Because I try to work on my interior life, and it's something nice to read when you're on a busy train.
Daily reminder of the importance of trying to help out and do something good.